Hi there. My name is Michelle Nicolo Prentice, and you're listening to Mama's Lullaby podcast, where we celebrate you and your journey to and through motherhood, the good, the hard, and the scary, giving you a place to be nurtured and mothered. You deserve it. Welcome. Hey guys, it's Michelle. Please hit that like button and be sure to subscribe so we can keep you up to date on all the latest podcasts. Hi, my name is Michelle Nicolo Prentice, and welcome to Mama's Lullaby podcast. You are in my kitchen with me and my friends and my son, BJ. And we're so excited to have this opportunity to talk with you today. BJ is going to host, and I'm excited to introduce my friends here.
Yeah, absolutely. So welcome again to the podcast. And we have two goals for this podcast and really for you. And that's we join you in celebrating the journey of motherhood. No matter what your journey looks like, how you got into it, how it unfolds. We want you to know that your journey is unique and special and worthy of being celebrated. In addition, we want you to create an environment where mothers can feel mothered. And so we wanted to make sure you got to be introduced to amazing women who are going through their journey and really just get to feel like you have a place where you can put your feet up or take your shoes off and really kind of join in a conversation in a community. Now, you might be saying, well, why are you here? You don't know anything about motherhood. And I would say, you are correct. They said, who can ask questions with authenticity? And they said, who knows the least about motherhood? And we're going to ask him to come here. And so that's why I'm here. I am here because I know so little. My questions are all from the heart. And so I have the privilege of kind of being here. So, Mom, why don't you introduce people to your left and to your right, and how you came to know them and why we need to have this conversation today.
Absolutely. Well, to my right is the beautiful Jenny, and she is a new mama.
Yes.
A bear who is a year old now, right?
Yes, it's crazy.
Jenny is an incredible singer and songwriter, and she actually has her own town called Jennyville, right?
That's right. I've got a crazy brain that likes to have an imaginary town of its own. So.
And it's super cool. It's super
Thank
cool
you.
and very inventive and creative. But before you had Bear, your career was just taken off.
Yes.
And then you got pregnant after you got married. Same for me. Like 6 weeks I was pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
Yours happened like on the wedding night or something, right?
Literally the day of our wedding, my pregnancy started. So
Yeah,
that's a fun measuring tool. Have fun with that.
But anyway, Jenny and I have talked a lot about health together. When the first time they came to dinner, I cooked gluten-free, and I tried to be really careful with all that stuff. And I know a lot of people have health issues, and we don't always know what to do with those health issues. I'm more of a natural person. I like to go as natural as possible. And so that's why I brought my friend Virginia Harper in here, because she healed herself of Crohn's disease over 40 years ago, which you're not supposed to be able to do, but she did it with macrobiotics and was almost going to have her colon taken out. I mean, it was just a lot going on, a lot of health challenges. So I thought it would be fun to have a conversation with a new mama, sage mama and grandmama, about how can we better care for our bodies. And especially as we go through changes of motherhood, many stages of motherhood, right? The beginning of it and the middle, and as we age, there's a lot of things that we can do ourselves naturally. So that's what I really wanted to have this conversation about today.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Jenny, just for giving all of us a little context, would you mind, as much as you're comfortable with, sharing a bit about your health journey and really how it might have evolved pre and post becoming a mother?
Yeah. So, gosh, I guess when I was in middle school, I started developing really severe anxiety problems and like panic, and I would just have panic attacks in class, and I didn't know what was wrong. I mean, they sent me to every single doctor under the sun and tried to put me on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medicine, and it all just made it so much worse and was not getting better. And so finally, funny, it ties in with music. My piano teacher had found this holistic doctor, integrated medicine doctor, and out in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and really encouraged me to go check him out. And so I went and saw him, and he's the one who discovered that I have Hashimoto's, which is a form of hypothyroidism and causing so much inflammation in my brain that it was triggering this anxiety disorder.
Wow.
And so it was all of these different things, all these different layers that, you know, when you go to a typical doctor, they're never going to take the time to figure that out. Yeah. But I still see him to this day. His name's Dr. Bernoulli out in Hendersonville. Yeah. I love him. And so he's the one who put me on the anti-inflammatory diet. So I've been gluten-free for, that was maybe 13, 14 years ago. And ever since then, I've been a whole new person because I could not even function. Yeah. And so I thank him for even my ability to get pregnant and have such a healthy pregnancy, because with Hashimoto's, it can be very difficult to even conceive and a very difficult pregnancy because you're dealing with the hormones and everything. And so thankfully for me, my pregnancy was absolutely amazing. I loved being pregnant. I want to be pregnant again because I loved it so much. Yeah. And I just have him to thank so much for all of that.
That's powerful. Thank you for sharing. Mm-hmm. Now, Virginia, would you mind sharing a bit about your health journey as well? Give us a bit more context. Mm-hmm. I mean, Mom set you up, said you healed yourself. So what were you experiencing before that process for you?
Well, very much like Jenny, my symptoms started at 14, 15. And had a lot of cramping, a lot of intestinal issues going on. And my parents would also take me to this doctor, and they would say, well, that's just the way she is. And back then, they weren't trying to give me too many medicine back then. And I was a gymnast. So they even said that on the uneven parallel bars, I was banging my hips too much. I mean, they even went there with it. And it got worse. They didn't diagnose me with Crohn's disease actually until my 20s. Wow. So I went through 7 years of pure hell, really. I mean, it got worse and worse because the symptoms do. And then I got diagnosed with a blood condition because at 19, I had a stroke. And that was like, wow, why is she getting a stroke at such a young age? But, and then they diagnosed me with a blood condition. And on the x-ray, both things looked the same. When they showed me the x-ray, the inflammation looked the same, where my intestinal lining was inflamed and where my right carotid was inflamed. Same side of the body, same picture. If you didn't know which was which, you wouldn't know. And as naive as I was, I asked them, I said, is there something in common here? Maybe something I'm doing. Why does this look? No, you're just unlucky. You have 2 different conditions. So they just put me on anti-inflammatory drugs and were trying to keep everything quiet. I was told I wouldn't be able to have children because one was a vascular condition and didn't know how, you get all this extra blood when you're pregnant, how that would handle. And the Crohn's, also malnourished. They just really, and I was getting married at the time and they're telling me this. So that was really difficult to hear. Yeah. And it wasn't until I was scheduled for my colon surgery, for my first colon surgery, because that's the only answer they have medically, to start cutting on your colon, that my dad actually discovered about macrobiotics, form of eating, nutrition, and balance your body from disease. So I jumped into that. And I knew about Dr. Bernoulli once I moved to Nashville. I was living in Connecticut at the time. And he was one of the few doctors that were around of that type of thinking. So I connected with him also. And I just jumped in. I said, what do I have to lose? I had a month before my surgery and jumped in and basically became gluten-free vegan is what I did through that program. And in a year, it cleared everything up.
Come on. Wow. That's wow.
In a year, it cleared everything up. After 7 years of blood work and tests and x-rays that showed, and the colonoscopies that showed I had really bad Crohn's.
Wow. Well, first of all, thank you both for sharing. That's really powerful. I could go down this path a lot of different ways. But Mom, I would love to turn over to you. Like, what's something you would like to ask these amazing women that for our audience?
Well, so I've worked with Virginia. I call her Ginny too. So we thought it'd be too confusing to say Ginny and Jenny. So Virginia, I became friends with her about 8-9 years ago. And I do an emotional process called Faster EFT, which uses meridian tapping and NLP to deal with emotional stress. And she wanted to see how I did my process and see if I would work with her clients. But then a few years went down the road and I had a mammogram that was odd. And so my first call was to her. And so I began using the protocols that she gave me to help balance my body. And so I wanted to talk about so with Jenny being a new mom, there's so many things that happen to our bodies, right? After so you can have postpartum depression. You can have pelvic issues. You can have all kinds of things. And just like traditional medicine doesn't always have any or answers other than maybe medications. But if you're looking for something maybe a little more natural and maybe more root cause, that's where I generally goes to Virginia. And so I would like to talk to you about kind of, since you've had the baby, what things did you kind of struggle with? And maybe you might have some answers of things that might be helpful for other moms out there that might be struggling with the same things.
Yeah. Gosh, well, I think the first thing that comes to mind is just the mental load of the complete world shift that happens as soon as you have a baby. I felt like I was on a totally different planet instantly. And I remember going home the first night and having my son and just sitting in a rocking chair with him and looking at him and almost having this not dread, but this overwhelming fear of, oh my gosh, he's here, and he's here forever. He's not going anywhere. This is happening. And gosh, breastfeeding was probably cried every single day for about the first 2 months trying to figure that out. And, I'm very proud and grateful to say that we're still nursing to this day. And, but with that definitely comes a lot of hormonal stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like, that's probably the wildest, because I know having Hashimoto's that my hormones are already out of whack. And then you add in breastfeeding a baby for now it's been 15 months and that's definitely throwing them for another loop. So I guess just if there's certain things to do to help balance those hormones in the meantime, because I feel like everything that I see is oh, well, you just can't do anything about it until you're done breastfeeding or until this. But I'm well, it might be another almost a year before we're done.
Yeah. Well, so the thing I've learned from Virginia is that food changes your chemistry very quickly, and you can balance things out with food. So, Virginia, what?
So yes, the biochemistry that's created by the food choices, not only the combinations and the way you cook things, is it becomes what it needs to be for your health code. And so everybody's a little different, even though across the board we have things that would benefit everybody, getting off sugar, getting off colorings, getting off this. With hormones in particular, there's signals to our bodies. And we have to have the signal mechanism working well. And one of our strongest signal mechanism is our intestines. Through there, we give a communication to the rest of the body. So I've been doing this over 40 years, where first I went through my own healing journey. Then I really got led to be a teacher in this. And so I've worked with all sorts of people, all sorts of conditions. And I was working with the gut system way before it got popular, way before we knew about microbiome. And what I've learned since then, the science has caught up with it, it really does affect everything. And so that's where I would go with anybody as a starting point. And hormones, especially our neurotransmitter hormones, are all concentrated in the gut. We know that now. And so what keeps the gut healthy mostly is good fiber. And we're a nation that is fiber, weak. Any health food, fast food store that you go through, you're leaving out the fiber, and we've really become relaxed in our consciousness for eating. We want ease, and then we compromise what that means. And so so for hormones in particular, keeping a good fiber in your system that will procreate good bacteria, which allow the hormones to get the right signaling and things like that.
What would be a good fiber that you're talking about?
Oh gosh, we have soluble fibers and insoluble fibers. So vegetables and grains and beans, and then a variety of those. And so you're working your small intestines as well as your large intestines, because we have bacteria in both, and both need that certain kind of environment. And then we have the micronutrients, which are your minerals. And minerals keep us alkaline because acidity will throw your hormones off. Yeah. Right? It throws everything off. But, we're focusing on hormones. And hormones are so emotionally driven, right? They trigger emotions, and the emotions drive hormones. And so to keep a balance means what's going to keep you vital and healthy as you go through your day. Because your balance is different than mine. Your balance is different than mine. So it is about our lifestyle. Yeah. And so whether you concentrate on 3 meals a day, getting everything perfect, or getting at that one meal that's going to provide what you've been not lacking throughout the day. And in our busy world right now, I'm teaching differently. I'm saying in the 24-hour period, make sure you get those good fibers in, get the minerals in, and get the probiotics in.
And we're talking from food, not so much supplementation, right?
Yes, because our food, when we create a prebiotic environment in intestines, then we'll pull the right bacteria from the food, especially if they're not overcooked, if they're not contaminated in any way. You have the live, coming in. So
one thing you just said, I think it kind of speaks a little bit to what Ginny was alluding to for her own circumstances, right? He said we all have our own code, right? And so me hearing that, he said they're universal, but we have our own code. Where do we start to figure out our code? I mean, each of you went to someone or did some work for yourself to kind of find that out. What does that really look like practically to discover your own code?
Yeah, it's really fascinating. I like calling it a healing journey because it is a journey, right? Everything you discover, first you got guided by someone, but then you discovered what it was doing in your body. And really that's what it comes down to. So it takes about 3 months to figure out your health code, because your blood quality changes pretty quickly, anything you eat right away. And then that turns into the programming for the cellular system, the rest of your body. Once it hits at that stage, which takes about 3 weeks when you make changes, then you settle into this, these habits that you formed, and then how you feel with them. And really is about how you feel. And it takes about 3 months to get it. This parameters of food and the way I eat them and when I eat them is what makes me feel best. And that kind of becomes your health code. So when people ask me, do you miss, not eating the things you used to eat? I really don't, because this code makes me feel my best. It doesn't mean I can't, I'm not really gluten sensitive. So if I have gluten, it's not going to throw me off like maybe somebody else, but it drops my energy. I can feel a shift. And so if nothing else is there to eat and I have gluten, it's not going to hurt me that much, but I'm aware of that. And so I stick with what makes me feel the best.
That's helpful. Ginny, do you mind taking us back to when you when it first kind of clicked to you, maybe separate of seeing a specialist or a doctor, where it's like you could tell, I've kind of found my code to kind of what Virginia's speaking to. Do you remember how that felt and maybe where it was in your journey?
Well, I have a very vivid memory of when the first time I was able to walk into the mall, actually, without having anxiety. So I guess that was my first realization of whoa, I'm different, because before I would have panic attacks sitting on the couch watching TV, like the most relaxing thing you could possibly do.
Wow. I
would literally just scream because I was so panicked. And so going into the mall was absolutely off the table. But I was with my mom. She was running some errand, and normally I would just wait in the car for her to come out. And I just felt really confident that day. And I don't know how long I had been seeing him, maybe a year or two. And I got out of the car. I was like, I'm going to go in. I feel pretty good. And so we walk in, and it was the time of year. It was Christmas time. And so they had those huge ornaments, which would usually like send me over the top with my like sensitivity to just like freaking me out. And I walked in, and it was like I was seeing everything for the first time.
Wow.
And I just was overjoyed at that, obviously, because before I couldn't leave the house. And so that's like my first memory of feeling quote unquote normal. But then I would say, like, when I would try to add in gluten, or if I would eat gluten, I would tell like instantly. I would get a headache, and I call it my gluten headache, because I know now I'm like, oh, okay, I've been glutened. Like, I can tell, because it just, I agree with Virginia. It's like once you get that out of your system, and then you start putting it back in, you immediately are like, oh wait, this does not belong. We've cleared this out. And so, but I mean, I feel like I'm nowhere near as good as Virginia is at all this. I'm still figuring it out and trying to heal my Hashimoto's. I mean, that's my goal. My husband actually asked me this morning, he goes, so is Hashimoto's, is that something that you can actually get rid of? And I was like, well, I believe it is. They tell you that it's not, but I believe that our bodies can heal anything.
You create it, you can heal it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I'm figuring that journey out.
No, I love it.
It is a journey.
Yeah,
it is a journey.
Yeah,
I'm
you
still
alluded
on
to
my
that.
journey.
She looks like I'm kind of also in this. You're still also in the season where you're like,
Right.
I'm not going to be nursing forever.
Exactly.
Right. But I am in a season where I have another part of me that is required that I also want to preserve and protect.
Yeah, and I'm depleting myself of a lot of the things that probably would be healing to me at this time, but it's more important for my child to have those nutrients.
Well, so that's the question. So do you just hear what she just said?
Yeah.
It is more important for my child to have those nutrients. And this is what I'm talking about, ladies. This is what we naturally do. We put ourselves back there so that we can sustain this life that we love. And that's exactly what we should be doing to a certain degree. But we do need to support that other part of ourselves so that we don't end up sick down the road. And that's one of my huge passions with Mama's Lullaby is I really, because of my own health journeys, of how I got sick in my life by pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing through, I really want to keep this conversation going, more podcasts about health. I mean, we have a very short time here today, but I hope that, you can understand there are people out there who can help and help you figure out your health code. And if you're not feeling well and doctor said, we don't find anything wrong with you on the blood test, is because sometimes the way that regular medicine or allopathic medicine is taught, they're taught to look at specific things, and they're not taught to look in the ways that sometimes holistic medicine is taught. So there's a room for both. There's room for both. It's important. But so, Virginia, just so we can have a little something, what could a new mom do for herself that might be supportive of her body? So that, just one thing, maybe that would be something supportive.
Well, one thing is in general, self-care. When we have a baby, the first thing we open our eyes, and by the way, I was able to have 2 children.
Yes.
And now I'm a grandmother, 3 little girls.
So,
so all the things that you tell you can't, don't take them in. They're just information for the moment to guide you what to do. But, as a mom, as a new mom especially, remember to eat at scheduled times. Because we do push that back. We get up, we take care of this and that. I'm hungry now. I didn't eat breakfast, or almost dinner, So with new moms, that's the first thing I stress is have your scheduled eating time. Just like a baby's going to have your scheduled eating time, you do that for yourself. And then find out what foods are most milk producing, more nourishing for you, for your calorie intake that you need as you're nursing. And I think that in a nutshell would be what I would focus on. And then the other would become details, to what you might individual need. So,
and so I'm asking one more follow-up, 2 more follow-ups. One, for ththose who are maybe past the new mom stage, right? And they might have already settled in to this rhythm that mom's talking about, where like, where I would say, not being a priority might be their norm at this point. What are some things that you would advise them to do? Is it very similar? Like, hey, get create some kind of routine that you can refine?
And it's true. We go from taking care of small children, and then when they don't need us as much anymore, especially being Spanish, you find something else to take care of just as much. And so for me, because I didn't want my disease to return or go back to where I was, it is conscious living. It is paying attention to those things that keep me well. So I don't slip up very much. I don't slip up more than a day because my body tells me right away. And it's not like a 2x4 hitting me over the head anymore. It is that, oh gosh, my energy's low. I'm not motivated. It's those signals that I listen to now more specifically than before. So it is along the same lines. What is my eating schedule? What am I doing for myself? And I really try to find ways to relax my nervous system. And I know what those are for me. When your baby's asleep, lay down, take a nap.
Even if you don't go to sleep.
Yeah,
even
exactly.
If you just lay down.
Just lay down. That prone,
not with your phone.
Right.
Just lay down.
Not stimulated, but just putting your body prone shifts the adrenals and the kidneys. And for those 5-10 minutes, you actually move from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic and you catch your breath. Okay. It's as simple as that. I'm all about naps.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, as a father, I'm like, I want to adopt this for myself. I'm all about naps now. Virginia said, I can reset my nervous system without taking some naps. Yeah. Okay. You gave some really great first steps. Is there any resource you would recommend to those who are watching or listening, for those who want to at least learn more about this approach?
Sure. My website is always a good source. YouCanHealYou.com, and you spell it all out. You Can Heal You, and that name came divinely because as I thought about it, it is our responsibility. You can get all the good information out there, but unless you're doing it, it's not going to work.
Right.
And so I see myself as that, as a guide, as a support, as a cheerleader.
I love that.
For you to go through the steps. Yeah. And one more thing, I'm glad you said it was a year or two when you have that first experience, because people want health like that.
That's right.
It took a long time to get sick. You're not going to get up the next day after you do a change. You have to allow healing to happen. You can't push it through.
I love that.
And I think we try to bombard sometimes or do things too quick in our life, and then we don't sustain our health.
I love that. I love that. Well, first of all, I want to thank all of you, especially Mom. Thanks for bringing these two amazing women together.
I do want to mention your website.
I was going to say, what's Ginny? How do you listen to Ginny music?
Tell us how to get your music. Jennyville.
Right. Yeah, JennyTolman.com. It's JennyTolman. And you can find all of my music on there, all of my tour dates and everything like that.
Oh, and you were on Say Yes to the Dress.
I sure was.
And she was, and her wedding was in People Magazine, the spread. So you can see her in People Magazine. It's gorgeous. Yeah. I forgot.
They make me sound way cooler than I am. But
now that's modesty.
Pretty cool, girl.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We want to thank you all for listening and joining us for another episode of Mom with Lullaby. And we hope that from here, you understand that, again, no matter your journey, what you're experiencing, how your health might be influencing your journey, that, again, there are opportunities for you to actually regain elements of your story the way you want, right? So no matter what you're encountering, we want to encourage you and let you know that there are people out there who've been through what you've been through, maybe dealing with it now, but again, there is still hope for you as you move forward to experience your journey with more joy and vitality.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy mamas, happy families. So
yes,
happy, healthy mamas.
All right, take care, and we'll see you soon next time.
Bye. Thanks for coming. Come back. Bring your friends.